everybody, my name is Professor Rad, and today we're going to continue our conversation about the distributive property to see when we can't distribute. So the distributive property says specifically we can distribute multiplication over either adding or subtracting. So in example 12 here, we're going to do a little experiment to see if we can distribute exponents over addition. So let's come up with an example to look at. So to see if we can distribute exponents over addition, let's make something up. So let's try, I don't know, you want to use like 3 plus 7? See if we can square that. Is that going to give us the same thing if we were to distribute that exponent over that addition? So what do you think? Do you think we'll be able to do that? I don't know, let's find out. So 3 plus 7 by our order of operations is 10. And 10 squared means 10 times 10, which is 100. On the right-hand side, we've got to do the squaring first. So 3 squared is 9, and 7 squared is 49. And when we add them, we get 58. So it looks like we can't distribute exponents over addition because we end up getting different answers. So one of the really nice things about properties is that properties give us shortcuts to make computation faster and easier. But one of the downsides is you have to make sure that property exists before you use it. So if at any point you're unsure, if you're like, wait, can I do this or not? Try doing it using the order of operations. And if you get the same thing, then you can probably do the shortcut that you want. In this case, there's no shortcut for exponents. We have to follow the order of operations here. We can't distribute the exponent of 2 to those numbers inside because we end up with different answers. So another place where we might want a shortcut is if we're dealing with absolute value. So for example, let's say I have the absolute value of 3 plus 7. Is that going to equal the absolute value of 3 plus the absolute value of 7? So, in other words, can I take the absolute value of each number first and then add it? So kind of distribute this absolute value over that adding. So if I follow my order of operations, 7 plus 3 is 10. Well, that's a weird looking thing. And the absolute value of 10 is 10. Over here, the absolute value of 3 is 3, and the absolute value of 7 is 7. And if we add them, we get 10. So it looks like, yeah, we should be able to distribute because we get the same answer either way. However, just because this worked in one case doesn't mean it always works. So one of the things that's missing here is one of the fundamental features about absolute value. Remember that the absolute value doesn't impact positive numbers at all, right? It just really impacts negative numbers because the whole point of an absolute value is to take something negative and turn it into something positive. So, what happens if one of these numbers was negative and the other one wasn't? Because that's where we might have an impact. So let's try that. Let's say we have the absolute value of 3 plus a negative 7. Can we distribute now? So will this be the absolute value of 3 plus this absolute value of negative 7? Can we do that? Well, let's find out. So a positive 3 plus a negative 7, the signs are different, so we'll subtract. 7 minus 3 is 4. And the 7 is negative, so we get a negative 4. Now, the absolute value of negative 4, is a positive 4. On the right-hand side, the absolute value of 3 is still 3. Since 3 is positive, it won't change. The absolute value of negative 7 is positive 7, since the absolute value makes a negative into a positive. And now when I add these, I get 10. Aha. So when I threw in something a little strange, I ended up getting like the property broke, right? We don't want that to happen. So no, we can't distribute absolute value over addition because it doesn't work if we have one of the numbers being negative. And in order to be a property, it has to always work. So this is what mathematicians do. I remember especially when I was studying math, people would ask me like, what do you do? Like, what does a mathematician do? Just like solve equations all day? And like, kind of, it's really more like this kind of stuff. You just ask questions and then play around and see what the answer is. And sometimes your first attempt makes you think that you've got something kind of cool, but your goal is to see, well, does it always work? And here we've come up with a situation when it doesn't always work. So that's what I did in school. Is you as a mathematician, right? Is you study things and you ask a bunch of questions and you try some stuff out, and eventually you try to prove stuff to show that it would always work, or find a place where it breaks. Okay, so in our next video, we're going to do a summary of these last 3 chapters where we look at the commutative property, the associative property, and the distributive property all together. So I'm looking forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, have a great day.